like, this is the most awesome, exciting tool we have. The damsel in distress. You have a lady, she called me this week. She's a student of mine on the other side of the country. She just watches the show, and she said, listen, here's my problem. My husband came to me. We need a dining room table. Like we've been married several years, and we need we're still on a fold-up table. Thank you. And guests come and like their knees hit the thing and whatever. And fold-up table is only like 11 inches wide. Everything falls off. So they need a dining room table. Fine. So they're in a position. She said, "Okay, can we get a?" He said, finally came to her. You can get a dining room table. You have a budget, and everybody's different, so don't compare yourself to whatever. But he said $1,000, right? Which that's good. So she went, she hunted. She wanted to get something on Craigslist. She couldn't find the style she looked. She knows she's not coming back 6 months later and saying, okay, you can get another new dining room table. So she wanted one dining room table. Sometimes people have their whole married life, whatever. So she wanted to get one that she really liked. She looked and used. She looked anyway. She found one. She found two. One was $1,000 and it had 8 chairs. And the chairs, it was very elegant looking. It was, it kind of had a classic look, and she liked it. But then she found one on Craigslist, used, $1,400, 12 chairs. The chairs actually had cushioning on them, so she wouldn't have to get those with a little pads that you have to tie on that break it's good at Passover time, but it's not the rest of the year, whatever. So the other ones were just all wood. So she really, really wanted the $1,400 one, but that's like 40% more of the budget. I can't do math right. You're good at math. Yeah, okay, good. Okay, so fine. So she didn't, so she calls me, she says, Leah, I do not know what to do. If I bought, I know myself. If I sit there and say, okay, I'm going to mavater, it's okay, we could do the $1,000, we could buy the 8-seater, that's fine. I'm going to resent it for the next 10 years till we get another thing. I'll feel like, why couldn't we have just whatever? On the other hand, if I go to talk to him about it, I know myself. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sit there and I'm going to look at him and I'm going to say, I really want the $1,400. I'm going to make him feel guilty about it. I'm not going to handle it in a menschy way. Answers. The question on the table is, there's an 8-seater table and a 12-seater table, and she wants the $1,400 12-seater table. How does she handle this? How does she approach her husband? How does she mentally prepare herself? What can she do to have an outcome, not that gets her exactly what she wants, but an outcome that leaves the relationship in harmony? That's the goal. Okay, so what do people have suggestions? What should she do? Start crying? Okay, that's number one. Right?
She said she doesn't want to make him feel guilty.
What'd you say?
She said she doesn't want to make him feel guilty, so that would really...
Okay, but guilt really works when you want something.
You know what? At the end of the day, she wants...
really, who cares?
Because if she buys the $1,400 set her husband really didn't want to and they couldn't, then it's going to break, and she should have gone with that. She should have listened to her husband. So she needs
to... then she'll cry again. Crying is good.
2 years in.
I think she should make a list of pros and cons, but practically okay, it's a little more of an investment now, but we actually have the seats that last longer and we have more seating, so we'll probably need a new one. Make a list of pros and cons.
Also.
Try and take her emotion out of it and then show it to him and say, what do you think makes more sense? Whatever you say, we'll go with, but I just wanted you to be aware before I just stick with that of all the options out there.
And what you notice about her... I really want the $1,400.
And we'll have to buy cushions, so that's going to be... Save your money there.
Cushion's going to but also the other thing is that what was most telling about what you're saying is not even the practical logistical way of handling it, which was fantastic, but it's also, did you hear the tone in her voice? The attitude in her voice, whichever option. She had really let go. This girl was having a hard time letting go of that $1,400 table.
That's why I say put on paper, because when you just go and say the whole thing, you work yourself up. But even if you came in with the great intention, 30 seconds in, you're like, your emotions are.
What's your point of it?
It was along the same lines. It's make it like it comes from him. Like, oh, I found this. What do you think? And make it like it's his idea almost. Like that sounds better. Without you saying that you want it,
so we don't need to.
Well, you have to know your husband.
You guys already got it. It's good. We are going to do it. Don't worry. I'm going to cover it. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's true. When you're exactly. And think it through.
Right.
You have that moment to really think about it. Then you can come up with a really good idea.
Right. It's great.
Yeah, no, and
the
it's all
paper,
good
I also
until
like.
it's all
Until
good.
he doesn't agree with you.
If he picks your table.
Right.
But if he picks
Oh,
the
wait, hold on.
$1,000,
One person at a time, because otherwise
we
the
said
people
it's all,
can't hear.
Yeah,
We'll say
it's
it
all
again.
good.
Yeah.
With all this practical stuff and everything, it's all good.
If
When
he picks your table.
If he picks the $1,000 table, you're stuck with a $1,000 table that you don't want.
Right.
And as a woman, once you saw something you want, that $1,000 table
over.
is not
It's
going
over.
to. Yeah,
Right. It's over.
It's
Oh,
over.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
true.
And
Okay.
I say you buy the $1,400 one and put the $400 on a different credit card. And
There you go.
sorry.
Yikes.
No, don't follow my advice. That's bad advice. That's why I'm in debt.
Okay. All right. So this is good. So here, ladies, I've got this beautiful solution for you. Here's where the damsel in distress tool comes in at this exact moment like this. Okay. So we're going to, does everyone know what a pendulum is? Maybe they don't know damsel in distress. Maybe they don't know. So the pendulum, that's like, imagine in your mind a grandfather clock, right? And the pendulum goes back and forth. Okay. So you have a pendulum like this. And the way you want the pendulum to be is you can stretch on this side or you can stretch on that side. You want it to be here. That's where harmony is. Harmony. Okay, got me? Harmony. Okay. So on this side is pathetic. Okay. And on this side is pushy. And down in the middle is, can you see there? Am I covered by the book? Okay. And down here is just right, and it's the damsel in distress. Now, here's the example. This is very easy. This one you can take home with you. When you are trying to open a jar of pickles, okay? And I'm sure it's men who tighten those in the first place, okay? You know, at the factory, they have a way where they tighten them so tight that you can't get them open, okay? So for that, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even make eye contact with you. I didn't realize you were back behind them. Okay, when you get this jar of pickles, right, and you're trying to open it, here's pathetic. I can't open this jar of pickles. That's pathetic, okay? Here's pushy. Open this. Okay? Here's damsel in distress. I can't believe how much they tighten these pickle jars. Bat eyelashes. Don't forget to bat the eyelashes. Bat. I don't know what to do because the pickles are so difficult. Oh, I'm being a little pathetic and facetious. Be a normal human being, okay? But I'm just saying, the damsel in distress uses her charm to get the pickles open. And here's the thing. It gives your husband a chance to come and be your hero. He comes and rescues you and is your hero. And the thing about this, it seems so anti-politically correct and whatever. I'm probably going to get slammed on the comments or on my emails, okay? But here's the thing. When a man comes to a wife's rescue, he just has this feeling of, I love you. He just feels like, oh, she needs me. She needs help. It's not this pathetic, you know, it's a real woman with a real problem, and she's coming to him. And it's interesting because I had one student, and I was, it's a story. Should I go into that story? I should finish the dining room table story. Okay, I'll tell you about it. Well, anyway, she was like, I said, do you ever hear about a damsel in distress? She goes, yes, I've heard of it. I never want to be one of those women. And I said, you know what? That's a little bit where you're wrong. Because your husband needs you to be a damsel in distress. Not all the time, but some of the time. He needs you to be that so that he can come and rescue. A man wants to feel like a hero. He wants to feel like he's showing up and saving the day. We had a whole convo here about 2 months ago about bugs. You know, like you just find me standing on top of the kitchen table like, beetle. Okay, right. We don't have beetles in our house. I didn't say that. Ray, could you scratch that? Whatever. Whatever it is, a spider. Okay. We had the husband rushing to our rescue. So here's how it works. When you have the dining room table situation, okay? And I'm going to give you, I'll give you a quick source on it so that you'll see this is our Masorah. This is not, Leah Richeimer has a good idea. I might have good ideas, but this is, our source is Rav Yaakov Meir Shechter writes that the way to continue receiving blessing is by giving it to another person, so that when a husband gives to his wife in this way, he causes more blessing to be provided by God. Also, Rabbi Nachum Sauer from Los Angeles adds that the Shekhinah, the godly light, the godly presence replenishes that blessing when the husband gives it over to his wife. Okay, so this is there's a very strong source for this, and if you can just imagine it, I'm sure there's been times in your married life where your husband has come to your rescue, and how it makes him feel. And you just realize he just feels like you the man, like, and you say, oh, did you end up, we forgot to pay the phone bill. We forgot. Did you end up paying the phone bill? And he goes, yep. There's a feeling of being your hero that is really, really crucial to your relationship. And it's been dashed by this whole, Western society thing of being independent. I'm independent. I don't need anybody, and so we land up either being pathetic or being pushy, right? But not being the damsel in distress, which our husband needs in us. Not all the time, and not in every occasion. But let's look at the dining room table. Okay. So first of all, does anybody have any guess? All right, I'll just go into it. Okay. So instead of putting her foot down and demanding that she wants the 12 seating the table for $1,400 or whatever, instead of saying, look, this is really the one I want. And I spoke with one woman. She goes, that's crazy. She's the wife. It's her kitchen. It's her dining room. Are you crazy? That's not even a consultation. That's her. Instead of doing that, that's a way. That's a pushy. Then maybe she'll get the table she wants. And guess what? Every time her husband sits at that table, guess what? He's like, maybe he'll forget. Okay, that's true. Men do tend to forget these kinds of things a little bit more than women. We can remember for 27 years, whatever. But so they might forget it. But for a little while, there's this little tension about the more expensive table. So that might be successful in getting her to the table. Is that going to bring her to harmony? Not necessarily. Not probably. So what she said, how I coached her through this, is she was afraid to come up to the table. She was afraid she was going to be manipulative. And no matter how she did it and how she tried not to guilt him, she was going to end up guilting him. You can just go and sit over
And
there.
what's wrong with that? Sorry.
What's wrong with guilting?
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with being a little bit manipulative as a wife to get what you want?
Okay. So, and anybody have an answer for that?
She's like, I'm the only one. No, I don't know. I manipulate a lot.
Okay, she's going to answer back.
How you are
Is that such a bad thing?
manipulative in a I don't know, a real manipulative way, as opposed to what this other woman was talking about, like, let it be his decision, you presenting him with facts. You're manipulative in the sense that you're thinking it through and you have a plan of a strategy of how you're going to approach it, as opposed to that other way of being manipulative, of trying to I gotcha, I'm going to get my way no matter what. Like, it's a different approach.
It's a little mean, manipulative.
If you don't.
So the manipulation is probably, if it's planned out, you write it on paper, and you could call that manipulative, or you could call that thoughtful, strategic.
It's
So
the
I hear
word.
that. But the issue. But hold on a sec. You brought up a different issue, which is the implementation of guilt.
Right, the
The
guilting
infusing
them.
guilt.
It's a big deal.
So what's wrong? Why not just use guilt?
A little bit.
Why not?
It works.
There's a nodding head. Why? Because what? Let's hear.
Guess what?
Well,
no one's gonna be happy.
If the reason your husband said $1,000 was because that was the budget he had to pay for that, then to go and put pressure on him and guilt is just, I don't think you need us all to say why that's wrong. It's just
tell,
mean.
because the people in the
It's
listening.
mean, and it's going to create tension in the home, and however happy she may be with her dining room table, is she really willing to forgo that for her husband to be stressed, having debt, not being able to pay for things that really should have came first, and all of that?
And
I
once
don't think it's
you
the
start with
smart-
guilt on him, guess what? He does it on you. Then you
it's
get
gonna
a whole
affect their
pile
Shalom
up of
Bayis.
guilt.
It's-
Yeah.
Not only that, if you use that approach and you get your way this
a good
time,
question.
you're going to keep using that approach, which is not in a long-term relationship. It's not a good plan of action.
Yeah.
It doesn't really work in the long
You guys are
term.
good. Aren't these ladies awesome? Don't you love them? It's awesome. This is like we're solving the world's problems here, one marriage at a time. It's awesome. Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like the guilt makes it me against you, but really, like in this subject, it's something that so clearly benefits both of them either way. It's very sensible. So I feel like it's just a simple conversation, talking it through, because the pros and cons are equally as good. It's not like wanting to buy a pair of shoes. It's something that's really for both of you. So
I mean, he benefits.
right.
just
The
as
minute
much.
you're using guilt, it's like, why is it for you? Like he's doing it for you. Like, so it doesn't really make
That's
sense.
a beautiful, that's true. It like takes the whole team. We're a team, we're working this together. What's best for us? It's me against you instead of an us. And it's a beautiful point. Thank you. So here's the other thing. So one of the things that I said to her, I said, listen, you got to get yourself mentally prepared for this $1,000 table. Like, if you can be flat on the $1,000 table, things are going to go much, much better. And if you think of, okay, I'm flat on the $1,000 table because to me, more than anything in the world, shalom, peace in my home is the most important thing. So you know what? Even then, every time I see this $1,000 table, I'll think, I did that for shalom. Thank you. Where's my, I get blessing for doing that. I get something, I mean, it's not, maybe it is about me, but I'm just saying, it'll bring blessing because you went for shalom. So it could be seeing that every day and sitting on those uncomfortable chairs with a cushion that's kind of never quite in the right location or whatever, you will be thinking of, I did this. So that was very helpful for her to go to be flat on that before the conversation. And the other thing is I said to her, listen, when's your anniversary? She said, in 2 months. I said, when's your birthday? She said, in 3 months. I said, okay. I said, so here's your thing. I think maybe she'll get you another chair. Thank you for coming. So she said that, I said, where are you? I said, 2 months is her anniversary. So I said, listen, if you're sitting there and everybody's hemming and hawing about when, he's hemming and hawing about the 1,000 and the 40, what should we do? And you see it's really leaning towards the $1,000 table. Then you say to him, you know what? I said, only say this if you have to. You say to him, you know what? It can be part of the anniversary present. And if he still says no, then say, and my birthday present. Right? So you got like these layers of whatever, and that's it, not for all the other, right? And I said that way, and she said, oh, that feels great, because I think he would really like, if he was leaning toward the smaller table, that would, and for me, would I rather have a birthday and anniversary or this table? I'd rather have this table. I mean, until it comes to her birthday, and she already is sitting on the table for a few months, but anyway, that's another story. But so she says, okay, fine. I'm going into this conversation. So she said, first of all, I feel like such a baby because I've been on the phone with my sister, my best friend, my mother, my whatever, to try and figure out how to handle this. I'm a nervous wreck about the stupidest thing, mostly because I want it to go well. I want to keep shalom, and I've really been working so hard at approaching him well and talking to him well and everything. And now I feel like I'm just going to blow it because I'm going to arm wrestle. I'm going to hold his arm behind his back to get what I really want, and I really want the bigger table. I mean, it just makes no sense. We're going to have to buy another one in 5 years. And for Passover, we have huge guests or whatever. This one has 2 leaves and extra 2 chairs. I can put them on the side. It's got everything. So she said, I just don't know how to not be emotional in my conversation. But now I am going into my conversation with him like a damsel in distress. I've got all of the facts. I've got all of the thing. He can make the decision. I'm completely flat on what he chooses. Okay. If he asked me after that what I would prefer, which he actually did in real life. Okay. In real life, he asked her, "What would you prefer?" And I had the presence of mind to tell him, "I'm going to be happy, really, truly happy with either. I prefer the larger one, but if you were to tell me we only can do the small one now, maybe in 5 or 10 years we'll get a larger one, I'm really flat with it." And I have to say, that took a little, whatever to get myself in that place, but I'm there. And he said, you know what? I think you're right that we probably in 5 years or 10 years would sit there. It's only $400. If you were telling me it's $2,000, that would be out of the question. $400, that's, I think, worth it. We're getting 4 extra chairs. You could pay $100 a chair. You know what I mean? We're getting 12 chairs and the table. And frankly, I like the one. The chairs to me look much more comfortable than the other one. So let's do the $1,400. He felt like a king. Okay, he felt like a king. He felt like her hero. Now, do you think for the next 10 years, when he sits down at that table, I always feel like there's a level of the neshama with things. I mean, this is a Jewish concept that there's things have a, like this cup, whatever this was. We bought this for the show. Yes, the Ladies TalkShow show. if this had been a gift from Sarit or a gift from my husband or something, it holds a different yumminess, And this is the truth with that table. And she said this to me. She said, I feel ridiculous. She said, I feel choked up in how grateful I am. It's a silly little thing, but it was learning. She wasn't so grateful about the table, even though she was. It was learning the difference between being a wimpy, I don't know, being pathetic about it and getting your way and guilting or whatever. I don't feel bad. Your question was really good, and I'm glad you brought it up about the guilt. So the being pathetic and then being pushy, right? Listen, I'm the one who has to serve at the table, and that other table is too thin, and the chairs, and they're uncomfortable. I'm the one who's going to have to clean the chairs. She could have done that. She could have gone that route and been the pushy. She wasn't. She was the damsel in distress. That's our lesson for today. We're going to go on to another story. I want to first see, is there anybody on the line who has an issue with their husband where they would like some coaching? What an example of something from that your husband that you don't know how to be the damsel of distress about. Anybody on the line? You got kind of 3, 2. Okay, fine. So the other story is a student asked me, this is after class, she came up to me, she said, Leah, she needs to get somewhere far away, and she does not like freeway driving. You know what I mean? She does back roads. So, on that thing where it says you want freeway or you want thing, I'm like, who in their planet Earth would ever want to take surface streets to, San Diego or to Chicago? You know what I mean? Like, hello. She's afraid of the freeway. She never quite got whatever, and going over lanes scares her. Fine. Okay. Apparently there's a lot of people who, everybody's got different things. Fine. So she had... Oh, hello. That's kind of funny. That sounded like me.
Yeah, that's you.
Oh, that's so funny. Okay. So she said her husband offered her to take her, to drive her, which would mean so if she did it herself, it would be, what did she say? 1 hour. Oh, it would take her 2 hours side street. It would take him 1 hour on the freeway. And so he would be taking 2 ways, plus waiting for her there. But her, it would take 2 hours each way plus there. So he offered to take her. So the question is, should she, how should she, should she let him? Should she not let him? He wants to come and be her hero. And she's like, I just can't let. This is the woman who I said, this is part of the story where she said, I don't want to be. I said, do you ever hear of the damsel in distress? You need him. She said, I never want to be a damsel in distress. I never want to be that person. And she did not want to let her husband drive her because she felt like that was just too big an ask, and that, just because of her crazy fear of whatever. So does anybody have any thoughts on how she can handle it? This is an internal thing. This is what's going on in her head. She can be wimpy, I can't really, I need your help, or push him, or, she was not going to let him do it. Anybody have any thoughts?
Well, maybe he wants to give her the ride. Does he really want to give her a ride, or that's the question.
He was willing to do it. He was willing to do it because he knew. For her to spend, she would be the whole day at it. And this is, whatever he said. I can, once I get there and you're doing your thing, I can get some, I can be on my laptop and get some work done, and then I'll come back.
So let him do it if he really wants to. Let him feel good about it.
So yeah. So now the question is, and this is exactly where we're holding about the damsel in distress, is her reluctance to let him fully take care of her. You hear that? You hear all of us, like there's this whole thing about independence and wanting to do it ourselves. It's very, very, that's like the air that we breathe is independence, and I don't need you. And there was part of her self-esteem, part of all of ours, unfortunately, a part of our self-esteem and part of our self-identity is being able to be a functioning adult that needs nobody.
Respected. If I could do it, then you feel like you'll gain respect that way.
I would just feel bad to take up someone's whole day. That's the only issue that I'm struggling with. I'm thinking, what would I do? And I feel like the right thing would be to, yes, let him drive you. It's so nice. And he offered, and you don't want to, you always said if you want to receive the bracha, you have to know how to accept it, and you have to accept it and not turn away. But taking up someone's whole day
seems crazy.
Somewhat unnecessarily.
You have to know their schedule on their...
Right, but I guess if he's offering, that means he is able to, and he's willing to. Then, yeah, I guess the right thing would be too.
You look like you have something you want to say.
To me, like I know in my situation, my husband does not have that kind of time in a work week, you know, to drive me. Even if he wanted to, I would ask a girlfriend before I wouldn't bother my husband with it. That's just me. Unless I felt like he really wanted to spend that time with me, because sometimes driving is like real prime quality time. You know, you can really spend time with someone, you know, because you're driving and hopefully you're not, you know, you're talking with your passenger.
Right. So the issue here that we want to look in deep, what's going on inside? Are we so independent that we aren't letting our husband be that hero? And that's really that's the take-home message for today, is that letting our husband be the hero. And it's so not in our day-to-day life of what he is. Now, here's my question for you. My next question is, what is the difference between letting your husband take care of you and having him turn into your run and fetch it? You hear? There are a lot of, you know, and this is there's a fine line between it. It's like, oh, can you hand me that? Oh, can you get me some water? Can you, no, I'm letting him be my hero. Right? Okay, right? Right? So what's the difference?
I feel like there's a fine line between the needy and the damsel in distress also. Like, I don't know, damsel in distress to me sounds negative.
It is kind of,
help.
It is
I
kind
can't
of a
get
little
up,
bit.
you
Well,
know?
the reason I could have made the damsel in distress a little bit the pathetic one, except that the damsel in distress is doing something that the pathetic one isn't doing. She's lying on the train tracks and she's sitting there saying, "Help me!" Right? That's what she's doing. She's asking for help. And so I thought this was a meritorious thing. That's what she's meant to do. She's in a bind.
A little bit, no?
To be a damsel in distress.
Also, like the story before where she's approaching it in a conversation. Why is it like a damsel in distress?
It's more I think the concept of asking for help that we all
Yeah,
struggle
I know
with.
that-
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
I call
That's
it
like a
damsel in
damsel in
distress,
distress
but
sounds to me like, I don't wanna be a damsel in
It's good to
distress.
remind you that like the concept of asking for help we all struggle with.
Right.
Yeah, and
Today's-
because
You
that's why I
want
made the
to you want to
damsel-
be independent. You want to be able to do it yourself.
Yeah, you want to be able to, and you're a certain stature and you feel about yourself. And what did you say that you feel like what's the thing you said just a minute ago?
Said a child.
No, before that. She said that you feel like that's part of your identity or your strength as a person, is I am capable and I can do it myself, you know? And so when you get in a situation where you actually can't do it yourself, so here she is, she's got this table, what am I going to do, right? So if she's pathetic about it or if she's pushy about it, that's not going to lead to harmony. Being the damsel in distress, and I'm kind of using that as a euphemism for somebody who's able to ask for help.
Let go.
To let go, to ask for help, and to make lists and figure out and calculate, not manipulate, but strategically plan, how am I going to do this? And can I let go of my, be okay with the $1,000 table?
But she said that you'd rather ask a friend, and I feel like I'd rather ask my husband than ask a friend, like for help or something.
Right.
Well, it depends on what it is.
She didn't even ask him, though. She didn't ask him.
For which
That's
one?
the whole point of the story. She didn't ask him.
But he offered.
That's what my
That's
point.
right.
This is a woman who does. But this is a woman who doesn't ask.
Okay, hold on a
Ever.
second. Which one? The one about
This
the
is
driving?
a woman
The driving?
that doesn't ask her husband for things because she wants, like she said, I don't want to be a damsel in distress.
I'm not going to be a damsel.
He
I don't want to be one of
offered.
those.
He
That's what she
offered
said.
because
exactly
he
has
wants
that struggle of accepting help
And he
that we're
wants
talking
to
about.
be
It's a
her
perfect
hero. He
example.
wants to go with her and be able to say, "Oh, wasn't that nice?" And look what I did. And he wants that. He wants that because she does not give that to
She
him.
probably does turn him down, 9 times out of 10 when
Right.
offered help because,
Right.
or doesn't ask because she
Doesn't ask.
It's right. And one of the
used to
questions
doing
I
everything
asked her when she
herself.
came up to me, I said, can I ask you a question? When you're in the airport and you guys are traveling somewhere, who does the luggage? And she said, we do.
Right.
What's
They
we-
both. She holds and he holds. Yeah,
They both do the
take
luggage.
and
They
yeah.
put the luggage in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah,
we
together.
do it. No. That's what I asked her. Who's putting the
yeah.
luggage on the?
Yeah.
No, I didn't ask about the car, but I said, who's getting the luggage off those hoozy magoozy things? What are those things?
Yeah.
Give me come on, help me out.
Yeah. Baggage
Conveyor
claim.
belt.
The conveyor belt.
Yeah, the conveyor belt. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, we're a little
the
bit.
belt thing that goes around. Yeah.
What is it
Yeah.
called? Vocabulary challenge. So
Yeah.
who's taking it off the belt and putting it back on the belt? Who is getting it handing it to the whatever concierge or whatever? Who's doing the bellman? Who's doing? We do it.
Right.
That's her husband's privilege. is to take care of her in that way. And she's stolen that from him. This is serious. This is really serious business.
I have a hard time with that.
What?
I personally have a hard time with that because it's one thing if I had like a stroller and babies and, I was overwhelmed with what I already had. Of course, my husband would definitely take over and help out. But I don't have little babies with me. We're traveling together and, he's got his suitcase and I could certainly handle my own suitcase. But
it's the handling my own suitcase.
Right.
That's
I'll
the problem.
let him do other things. I'll let him like certain things that he wants to take care of. Fine, honey. Bavakasha, you take care of it. But I'm just saying, like, I think it depends on also what you give to him to take care of and how you've managed your relationship up until that point.
I think the difference is it's not what you give to him to take care of, and this is like also going back to what you said. What's the difference between? It's not what you give to him. It's that. Very often, my husband will call and say, oh, I'm running into Starbucks, do you want a coffee? And my initial response will be like, no, I don't really want a coffee. And they say, oh, you know what? I'll take something. Cause
that happens to me all the time.
You just want to remember to receive from them. So it's not a matter of he can't or what is he able to handle. It's more of training yourself because I think we all really are so, it is much easier in life if you just can take care of everything yourself and you're not sitting around waiting or expecting. So it's that shift in
when he picks your luggage up and he puts it on the conveyor belt, it's like this bonding. It's like this closeness that develops because it's very, very missing. We have a lot of superheroes, and I don't know a lot about their character traits, but I wouldn't assume it's so high in terms. Maybe it is. Maybe they're perfect people, whatever. But I'm just saying. The husband being your hero is really, really crucial. And it's kind of been stolen out of our daily life. Mm-hmm. It's been stolen out of what, the modern ethic of whatever because of this fierce independence. And I'm not saying women shouldn't be independent. That's not what I'm saying. Don't misinterpret. We should be independent. We should be capable. We should be able to do a lot of stuff. And we should be able to be the damsel in distress and ask for help. Or let him, more importantly, when he's offering help, to receive it. It's receiving blessing from our husband. And it's so knee-jerk reaction. And this week, our homework is going to be to look at our resistance to being that damsel in distress. To even be seen by our husband or seen by others or seen by our children of needing our husband. Of looking for his gifts, his support, his actions. Okay, so this is what we're focusing on now: is damsel in distress. And again, you're right; it's kind of an arbitrary thing. I could have made them the other. I have it that way purposely because we're talking about the ability not just to verbalize and ask for help, but the ability to recognize to not be so resistant to that help and resistant to him being our hero. And that's really what we want to work on. Okay, last story. Okay. A student of mine was very upset. It's actually, no, maybe I'll give away who it is. Okay. Very upset that she heard a creepy noise in the middle of the night. You're sitting there and like you hear something and that's not like a tree branch or it's not the ice cream maker, the ice maker clicking through or whatever it is. It's like one of those weird noises that's not a good noise. Okay. And she turned to her husband. I'll read what I wrote down what she said. So her husband would not get up to check it out, to go see what it was. Okay, so she's lying in bed, terrified, okay? So I asked her what happened. She said they heard the noise. She told him, go check it out. He said no. So she got annoyed. So then she told him, well, at least get up and lock the bedroom door. And he said no.
I'm assuming they don't have kids.
I know.
How about she? I don't even want to ask. All the kids are on their own. You're on your own, kid.
It wasn't.
And I'll be background to the story. Maybe she's always afraid of her shadow. That's why I said, why you're crazy, you always hear noises.
Her personality. Maybe she's afraid of everything.
If she's the type that really wouldn't do that.
Say that again.
Maybe she's the type that's always scared and he's sick of it. She's playing, wolf. It's
crying wolf.
You don't. I mean, I don't know.
Sad. That's so sad. If she is, that's a real fear. It's a real fear. It's like a little child who's afraid at night.
Right.
You can't tell a child, get over it. You get up how we're so kind to
No,
our
but
children.
by the
We
time
love
I have
them, and
said
we
to my
soothe
kids, get
them,
over it, I have
and
to
we
say.
No, but still, but we're much more understanding that they're going to be afraid. So
The
why
first
why
time
can't
and the
she?
second and the third, but it's
Yeah.
true by the
No,
10th
by
time.
the
you are.
11th and 12th, look, I'm like, yes, we have the little ones. It's the second time around when you get them.
You had a point over here?
I just think it also depends on the context. I mean, for a husband, if you really hear a loud noise and your husband does not respond to it automatically, something's wrong with him. I mean, it just doesn't seem normal to me. It doesn't seem normal to me for a regular circumstance. You hear a loud noise, you know. Of course, I mean, what is she going to say? Okay, I'm going to get up and I'm going to take the billy club and I'm going to go check it out with the flashlight.
Right.
What husband wants his wife to go and check out the house? You know, something's not right there.
I just have this really bad story on myself, but several years ago, you know, that we heard that we came out of one of the bedrooms or something, and the front door was wide open. And, you know, and it was like, nobody had left the front door open. We're really good about that, my husband, thank goodness. And it was wide open, and then we heard a noise, right? So I was trying to, you know, my aunt, Leah Richeimer, she was 103 years old. You can't get her out of the house fast enough to make it whatever. So I run in the kitchen. My kids still tell this story. I run in the kitchen, and I get a huge knife. I'm walking around. I really did. What can I do? I couldn't get my aunt. No, it wasn't. I was terrified.
With the knife.
How could
Like you were really
She's going to cook the robbers some supper.
my kids make fun of me to this day because it was like this dude, like what, like as if I couldn't be overpowered. They take the knife and then I'm history. Like what was I possibly thinking? But anyway, I figure a crazy lunatic. It was very funny. I actually have a friend, and they were walking in. I think it was Central Park, and it was late at night, and they were just they had to get a meeting on time, and they took a stupid cut. And anyway, they see all of these, you know, guys, like 6 guys, all together with very big and very scary looking, right? You're dead. I mean, sorry about it. Your wallet's gone. Your life's gone. You're beaten up. Who knows what would have happened to you? You know what he did, which is brilliant?
Acted crazy.
How did you know?
Yeah, like, because that's the first defense thing. They say act like a lunatic. They get
He started. He went right into the face of the woman. He says, "Did you see the bees? The bees are going to get us. They're getting us." And they scattered.
Yeah.
I thought that was so smart. Anyway, maybe that's what I was thinking. If I had the knife, they would think I was crazy. But so fine. I put the knife down. We quickly got my auntie in a wheelchair. We rolled her down and we closed it. Anyway, it was nothing. I don't know how the door didn't open. Whatever. It was one of those weird things. But anyway, well, we were talking about something.
the man, the husband.
So here he is. So he didn't go.
nothing.
Now here's the issue. Think back in the story. This is a little whodunit. What happened here? What went wrong here? There was clues to the story that tell you what the answer is and why it went the way it went. They're lying in bed. I'll say it again. They were lying in bed. Anyway,
Yeah,
it's a
no
riddle,
joke.
okay? She hears a creepy night in the middle of the night. She turned to her husband. She said, "Go check it out." He said no, and she got mad. And she told him, "At least lock the bedroom door."
Why couldn't she lock the bedroom?
No, because she was pushy in the start when she said,
Thank
go
you.
check it out.
Thank you. Go check it out.
Did you hear that?
She was here. She wasn't a damsel in distress. She wasn't
She was also woken
pathetic.
by a noise in the middle of the night. Let's give her a little...
Okay, but hold on. She
mind
was
checking the
pushy.
robber?
He was pushy. If someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, get me a cup of water," excuse me, like that ain't happening. I don't care if it's your husband, maybe if your parents said it or whatever. I feel sorry for you. No, it's happened to all of us. Whatever. I'm whatever. But anyway, I don't want to say anything about your relationship with your parents. But I'm saying, if anybody who's going to say, "Go do X," right? The person who's listening to that is going to be jump in a lake. Okay? That's it. I'm sorry. Okay? That's how human beings were created. They do not want to listen to direct directives. So even if it's the middle of the night, even if it's whatever, it started with her being this side of the pendulum and being pushy. Okay, what's your...
I was just going to say, it wasn't like a reaction, like, "Oh my gosh, what was that?" You know, like a fear, like she expressed fear. So if you expressed fear, that would be like more like the damsel in distress kind of thing, where then he has an opportunity to like rise to the occasion and be your hero.
Why didn't she express fear?
You mean
Wasn't she afraid?
She
didn't
was.
say, "Oh my gosh, what was that?" She just said, "Go check it out."
That's correct. And that's what I worked through with
You had
her.
no idea what you were talking about.
She was probably sleeping and she bopped him over the head.
So too. That's what I'm picturing.
And she
He
said,
was
"Go check it out."
snoring away,
And
and
he's
she
like,
tried waking him 10 times. And finally, when he got up, go check it out.
Obviously,
Probably took 15 minutes to get to the go check it out, but he didn't hear
when I
any
was
of
trying
that.
to coach her through this, right? Because she was calling me to saying, my husband's useless. Like, what are, I can't do, he in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
like
like, at least
what
that.
could possibly be my fault about him not checking a noise in the middle of the night? Like, are you crazy? Like, there is something wrong with him. He's the one at fault. He's the bad and mean and horrible, whatever. I'm being, the wonderful wife, and there's a scary noise.
It sounds like also he's kind of tuned her out already. Yes. Like he's not responding at this point to her.
Obviously, if he thought there was really an intruder in the house, he would be getting up. It's like,
Maybe, but it sounds to me like
I
he's
just thought,
so
like,
used
she
to her
always does
commanding him, making these
That's
kind of
the secret.
commands.
That's it.
And he's not listening.
That's
sounds
it.
like. He's
That's
not
it.
responding at this point.
So the thing is, when a husband gets pushed and pushed and pushed, do this, do that, do the, whatever, because of genuine needs or not genuine needs. Now, this was a genuine need, but he has so many non-genuine needs that she's pushing him on. Pardon me? The boy who cried wolf. She's never been the damsel in distress, or even pathetic, whatever. She just pushes him to do what she thinks is a genuine need or what really is a genuine need. So that is the lesson from that thing, is the fact of, if she had said to him, like we're saying, if she'd been the damsel in distress, what would that have sounded like? Let's hear. Come on. I haven't heard from you all day, and you usually have gorgeous things to say. What? Let's hear.
No, it's a story that happened, but you could finish.
What? Does it have to do with what we're talking about?
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, go. Let's hear it. But talk loudly, because that thing's very far away
I
from you.
asked my husband to change a light bulb.
This isn't Lashon Hara about your husband, though.
No.
Okay.
No, I
You asked
asked
him,
him to change.
how did you ask
And
him
I
to
said,
change
"Can
the
you
light
please change the light bulb? I can't reach it. It's too high."
bulb?
And
Okay,
he
wait.
goes,
Hold on. This is important. Did we hear how she asked about the change? So she's done this right. Good so far?
Yes.
She said, I asked him, say it again. It was you said it in such a soft voice. Yes, go ahead. How did you say it again?
No, I asked him twice. But I asked him.
Let's
he
hear.
goes, so where's the light bulb? So I got him the light bulb. I gave him everything he needed.
No, I want to
He
hear the
needed-
verbally things. 'Cause
I asked him nicely, with patience.
You said, can you change the light bulb?
Yeah.
Because it's too high for me to get. Do you hear that?
So-
I got the fingers.
No.
What is the tower thing, Okay, so go
And he
ahead.
needed a stool, but even with the stool, I still wouldn't have been able to reach it.
Okay, so you got
So
the light bulb, you got the stool.
I told him where the stool was. I didn't get it from
Okay,
him.
that's fine. Okay.
Which is, usually I'll do that.
Okay,
But
that's
and then he came back right away. He changed it the second time right away, and he goes, "I changed the light bulb. Your hero." And I'm thinking of Sarit. I'm thinking of Sarit and the light bulb story. And I'm thinking, I didn't even have to call Chavirut.
But hold on a second.
And he said the words.
He said the hero.
"I'm your hero."
Yeah.
And that's why
Ladies.
I'm just laughing inside.
Listen,
Because I
those of
never
you
heard that
viewers,
from
I
me.
promise you, I didn't pay her to come and say this, okay?
No,
It's a
you
true
said
life
that's
story.
what when you're saying this before, I'm just like laughing inside. Like it's like
He needs to get his cape. There you go.
I always
If we had any idea how precious it is to our husbands to be our heroes, I'm telling you, it can really transform a man. If people say, "Oh, my husband's having trouble." Well, it's romantic. It's so sweet. But
romantic.
if a
It's
husband's having
hysterical,
trouble,
especially since Sarit is
hold on a
telling us.
second.
Everyone's just laughing and thinking of Sarit.
We have to finish up the class, so let me finish. If a husband, people come to me, a husband's having trouble with parnasa, he's not making enough money, a husband's feeling badly because his learning partner went with somebody else, he's feeling all the things that a husband that knock every one of us down in our daily life. When our husband gets these knockdowns and knockdowns and knockdowns and knockdowns without being our hero, it just crushes him. Where if he has these occasions once a week, twice a week, once a month, whatever you can do to have him be your hero without being, I can't do it, or do the light bulb. But, I can't reach it. Can you, if you do the damsel in distress correctly, it's just beautiful. It makes him feel like your hero. So the homework for the week. So I'll give you the Leah's secret of the day. how you say things means all the difference for closeness. How she approached that $1,400 table got her the table. It's not about getting what you want. Maybe it is, whatever, but it's about handling it in a strategic way that makes you as kind as possible and as keeping in focus as much as possible, peace in the home, and letting your husband be the hero and take care of you. Homework for the week is try to be the damsel in distress one time this week, and that includes, you'll find times this week where you see, oh my goodness, Leah's right. I resist being that damsel in distress. I'm resisting it. I don't want to be it. That ruins my self-image of myself. Okay? The homework is to come back one time this week. You are being the damsel in distress and reporting back on it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. The Ladies Talk Show. This is your host, Leah Richeimer. We'll see you next week, Wednesday at 11 PST, Pacific Standard Time. That means by the ocean. Thank you for being here, and have a great week. Everybody has to clap, or it sounds like there are 3 people here. Okay. Yes.